I am Dr. Deepika Dhant. With lot of deliberation, experience, my observation as an English teacher, a professor of English, I ventured to open my own website www.learnenglish.org.in for the benefit of the students who are good in other disciplines but are not able to study and understand the English language processes, systems, grammar and vocabulary. I started this website and have enrolled a number of students.
How to prepare for the English test. Practical importance of learning English language. English language is not difficult to master. To understand the language, the basics of grammar should be comprehended. The science of grammar teaches us how a language is spoken and written correctly and effectively. Grammar, then, is primarily concerned with the formation and classification of words and sentences and their practical significance in learning the English language. It is debatable to master the English language. One should first practice to listen, speak, read and write English and then learn the rules of standard English grammar. It is advisable to study grammar separately and then positioning the rules of English grammar with exceptions to each rule of grammar in one's reading and listening materials. Unfortunately, there are just as many exceptions to each rule as there are rules in English. Sometimes English is weird and unexplainable. So instead, the best thing to do is just memorize the strange exceptions and move on. There are hundreds of grammar rules, but the basic ones refer to sentence structure and parts of speech, which are noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, and conjunction. Until the 17th century, the term grammar in English was applied only to the study of Latin. The best known early English grammarian was Ben Jonson, who also based his work on Latin. The Latin classification of parts of speech, which included 8 word classes, differed from the system adopted by modern grammarians. In the substantive and adjectives were grouped together as 2 kinds of nouns, while the participle was presented as a separate part of speech. The age of prescriptive grammar began in the second half of the 18th century. The most influential grammar of the period was R. Lowth's short introduction to English grammar, first published in 1762. Grammar is important to pass examinations. There is no end to learn or mug up English vocabulary or grammar. The more you read, the more one would listen and comprehend English language. One should not only concentrate on the subject, but extensively listen, speak, read and write English, whatever be its form, whether it is prose, poetry, paragraph, story writing, news reading, audio or video clippings. Another useful thing would be watching English movies on the mainstream movie channels like Star Movies, HBO, Sony, Pix, etc. They do provide subtitles with the video, and so you can understand the accent and usage of English language easily. Watch only 2 or 3 movies a week. Choose movies which would benefit you in some ways. Watching movies from different genres like action, love stories, comedies, war movies, etc. would help you in polishing your personality along with learning English language. What are the basic English grammar rules? In any language, there are basic rules the speaker or would-be learner needs to understand before moving on to harder skills. English itself has basic rules that people need to follow for it to make sense to hearers and readers. Here are some basic English grammar rules that are easy to understand and easy to learn. Only use capital letters for proper nouns at the beginning of a sentence. For every sentence, there would be one noun and one verb. A sentence with more than one noun or verb is confusing to understand. When a sentence is complete, use proper punctuation. There is no need to have dual punctuation when ending a sentence. If an apostrophe is needed, make sure to use it to show ownership. An apostrophe is also used when words are abbreviated. Whenever writing multiple sentences about the same subject or line of thought, use paragraphs to divide long segments of writing. Should a line of thought require a list, make sure to separate each article by a comma. Make sure case and number of the subject and the verb match. If the noun is singular, the verb should be singular as well. When connecting two lines of thought in a sentence, use a conjunction to make things make better sense. If you have two lines of thought that are similar, feel free to use a semicolon to combine them. Make sure to use the correct tense when writing or speaking English. Try not to end a segment with a preposition. A conjunction word should not be used to start a sentence. Sentence should be complete thoughts and not put in fragments. Try not to use double negatives such as no, not, never. Make sure to use words correctly. Avoid repeating lines of thought in sentences. Make sure paragraphs are complete, having 3 to 5 sentences each. Concepts and technique on spelling and narration should be taken care of. Sometimes you can find patterns in English grammar, but sometimes English doesn't make sense at all. For example, why are read, R-E-A-D, and R-E-E-D read the same word but pronounced differently depending on whether you are speaking in the past or present tense? Or why is mice the plural of mouse but houses is the plural of house? Studying English for an hour once a week isn't usually enough to make any real progress. The best way to quickly improve your English is to spend at least a few minutes practicing every day. Immerse yourself as much as possible every time you study and challenge yourself to listen, to read, and even say things in English that you think might be too difficult for you. If you want to speak English fluently, you need to make it an essential part of your everyday life. The right attitude can make the difference between failure and success. Stop thinking of yourself as someone who is learning English and start thinking of yourself as someone who speaks English. It's a small change, but it will make you feel more confident and help you to use the English you already know more effectively. This also means you need to start thinking in English. You want to say the word apple in English, for example. Right now, you probably think of the word in your native language first, and then try to think about the correct word in English. Instead, try imagining a picture of an apple and then just think about the English word apple. Real fluency happens when you stop mentally translating conversations. The simplest and perhaps the truest definition is a language to talk about language. Just as one cannot explain how a motor engine functions or is failing to function without naming words for its parts and their specific action, so it is impossible to explore the function of words and the part they play in forming meaningful language without a naming procedure. It is impossible, for example, to offer a meaningful explanation for why we say did it well rather than did it good. English is an easy language because English language has no genders. Apart from people, all objects are neuter, not masculine or feminine. So you say it for such things and do not need to learn any genders. It usually has easy verb endings. Apart from a few irregular verbs, verb endings are easy and hardly change. Adjectives remain the same for all words. There are no different readings to learn. The singular and plural pronoun you is the same. There is no need to decide whether to use a polite form or an intimate form when speaking to someone. The difficult parts of English are the spelling of a word may not show what the pronunciation way of speaking the word is. This is because English words come from many different sources. English came from two main sources, Old French and Old Anglo-Saxon. There is very large vocabulary of words. Words with similar meaning may have come from both sources. For example, start from Anglo-Saxon and commence from Old English. The meaning is similar but not precisely the same. How to improve English for competitive exams? English has been a very important section of every competitive or aptitude exam conducted in India. Without learning English, there is no chance that you can clear any competitive exam. Senior, secondary exams, IBPS, UPSC exams, CAT, CMAT, SBI exams or any other exam. English has always been getting dedicated sections and 20 to 30% weightage in marks. Also, it helps in many other ways while you are preparing for competitive exams. It is also evident that most of the candidates face the problem of how to prepare and master English and get a very good score in the competitive exam they are opting for. Sometimes it becomes a deciding factor in your selection for the job when scores in all other sections are generally average. Things to do. Try to make a list of words and their meanings. You can save it in the form of a presentation. Test yourself from time to time to remember meanings of the words. Practice test papers online. Browse websites like the ones which are given below: http www.myenglishpages.com site, PHP files, exercises, PHP, and the rest are given below. Manage your time well. Most of the tests will have time constraint. It is not that one cannot solve those problems, but it is generally the lack of time. Have a sound sleep. Be focused on the questions, as the questions are very logical and need proper concentration. It is best to choose easy problems and solve them all in the given time. Do not get stuck on tough or time-consuming questions. Move forward, eventually running short of time. In the first round, answer questions that you think are very easy. Then in the second round, try to answer the questions felt they are lengthy or time-consuming. The English course provided is equivalent to a set norms of the International English Language Testing System, which assesses the language abilities of candidates who need to study or work where English is required as the language of communication. Mark any information you don't understand in a particular section. Keep a focus on one unit or a manageable group of exercises. Recall after studying the section. Stop and put what you have learned into your own words. Read carefully and try to have an analytic ability to study the language. There are strategies for critical thinking. For instance, ask yourself questions like: what is the topic of the book you are reading? What issues are addressed? What conclusion does the author reach about the issue? What are the author's reasons for his or her statements or belief? Is the author using facts, theory, or faith? Every day practice writing an essay on any topic of your liking to be conversant with the language. The more you practice, the more confidence you will gain in written and spoken English. Work out as many exercises seen in English books or available online. Converse with others in English to know the language well enough. Talk to friends who are also learning English. Make a rule, perhaps for an hour, or when you go out together, you will only speak in English to each other. The more you practice, the more you will be confident of the language. Concentrate and focus on writing clear, simple, correct, short sentences first. Please study by using and understanding words with the help of examples. The online course is designed to help students in solving English language questions in an objective format, prepared after an analysis of the syllabus and questions of different competitive examination. Extensive exercises have been extracted from the last 50 previous years' papers of various entrance examination. The objective of this coaching course of study is to present a scientific and analytic approach in learning the fundamentals of English language, endeavoring to present learning the modern concepts of English grammar and its usage in daily life. The online customized course in learning English would help students to take any competitive exam without fear and with full understanding. The capsule provided for learning the candidate is designed to make the course readable and more attractive, leading to success in building a progressive future. The correctness in learning the fundamentals of English is stressed so that clarity is not compromised. Special care has been taken to enable young scholars to learn and understand the art of writing correct sentences while at the same time build a vocabulary in an easy way. Such topics as the tense, the voice, the narration, the transformation, the analysis, the synthesis, the article, punctuation, use of preposition, idioms, etc. have an important place in the process of the English, of all English writing, and have been dealt with exhaustively. Modern grammatical usage of determiners, models, and non-profiters find an important place in this course design. All the important chapters are followed by comprehensive and exhaustible multiple choice questions, MCQs, for practice for students, which are very useful in taking entrance exams. Audio lessons will be provided to each candidate wherever necessary. Lesson materials and CDs will be sent at your mailing address for learning and reference. These lessons mailed to you will be very informative, exhaustive, and self-explanatory, mostly in the form of interesting presentations. Each point in a lesson will be explained, and exercises and tests will be given after every chapter. Each questions which have appeared in different competitive exams from 2008 to 2016 according to their marks are listed below. Question types: marks, reading and comprehension 8, spotting errors 10, sentence improvement 5, sentence completion 5, sentence completion with variation 5, synonym 4, antonym 3, vocabulary with variation 5, sentence agreement 5, phrase and idioms 5, spelling 10.
And the online course design has been given to you section wise, and the period number will be given to you.